What's up guys, it's Sean with the Brothers Workshop, and today I hope you guys are ready for another adventure, because today we're going out to Cleveland, Ohio to go look at a new truck bed. Nah, just kidding. I already did that and I brought it back for you. And if you haven't seen that video yet, go ahead and click the link right here because it's one you're going to want to check out. If you have seen it, well, stick around. You're going to want to see this one because we're going to assemble this and we're going to get it mounted to the frame of the 66. And I think it's going to look pretty cool, but it's going to be two-tone, so it might look like a little goofy at first, but we're going to get it painted, so it's all good. Alright guys, this old truck bed is extremely heavy, and in fact I was only able to move it with our forklift. Now the goal of this though, it is to save as much of the original truck as possible. So here I've already taken off that front plate that goes up against the cab, and I'm taking off the tailgate now. And the tailgate's actually pretty easy to take off. All we're going to do is remove 2 bolts on either side at the hinge point. Now they're a little tough because of the age and they're just a little rusty, so I had to use a breaker bar, and then once I loosened the bolts up I was able to use my socket set no problem. And I'm also going to go ahead and save all of the hardware for the tailgate, as well as the hardware for the lighting. All that trim there, that stuff's kind of expensive, and the glass. So we're going to reuse all that, repurpose it. I mean, I'm not too good to repurpose anything here, guys. This is going to be a beautiful truck when she's done, and most of it's going to be original, with the exception of this bed here. In one of our previous videos, I found out that this is so much heavier than normal because somewhere along the line, one of the previous owners decided to weld a steel plate into it. When that steel plate got old and rusted out, he thought it was a great idea to weld more. So basically here we have 2 large steel plates inside of the truck bed. And if you're interested in checking out that video to see exactly what I mean here, because I legitimately did try to salvage this bed. I don't want anybody to think that I'm just giving up on it. Short of me cutting that steel plate out with a plasma torch and then welding in new brackets, I was kind of forced to get a new bed here. It's not something I wanted to do, believe me. In the long run, time is money, and this was definitely also the cheaper option. Now you can see what just fell off. There was actually that bracket I was talking about, where you have the 2 screws that hold it to the bedside. And you guys can see just how rough they are. All the years of rock salt and weather just really got to those things. But they're not so bad that I can't use them. And guess what I'm going to do? You already know. I'm going to repurpose them, and they're going to be used on the truck again. Taking this hardware off was actually really easy, and it just required one of my open ends. So once I got this off, I just installed it right on the new one. And guys, just for the sake of time, I am glossing over a lot of things. Obviously, when we get into the bed especially, I'm not going to show you every little bolt that I'm going to screw on. And same here. I mean, I'm not going to show you guys how I undid every single little bolt. Okay guys, here's the fun part. I decided to use the forklift to stand the bed up one end because I needed to see what was underneath there. At this point in the video, I'm about 50-50 on whether or not I'm going to just get rid of the bed, scrap it, or if I'm going to try to sell it on Facebook Marketplace to somebody else who's got way better fabrication skills than me. as you can see here, once I get it up safely, obviously I use that ratchet strap there to make sure that's not going to flip over backwards or whatever, I'm able to assess it better and really get in there and see what that original plate looked like and what all the connecting points to the bed sides looked like. And I was not impressed. I mean, I was actually kind of upset that I didn't notice this when I bought the truck originally. I would have tried to get a better deal. I mean, I did a great job of my negotiating, and I did get a great deal. But if I would have known this, I would have tried for a little less, especially since I just had to go out and buy a new bed. However, I was able to keep the front. Now that front piece, you guys will notice, there is a piece of steel angle iron welded to it. So I have to work around that. And you guys will see that whenever we put the bed together. First impressions, not looking too hot. And if you guys are thinking the same thing I am, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you think this is salvageable, well, let me know. Leave a comment. Tell me if you guys could do it. Would you have done it? I don't think that I could do it. I don't have welding skills like some of you guys do. So I was very happy with getting this new one. But what would you have done if you guys could have fixed this? What would have been the play? How would you have done it? Let me know. Leave a comment. I'm going to try to save as much of this bed as I can, and that includes this rear frame rail. This one looks really rough, and I'm probably going to have to get a new one eventually, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and say this will be just fine until I can find a new one. I'm going to go ahead and try to salvage that because unfortunately the bed that I got did not have it. And the guy I bought it from, he didn't have any laying around to help me out. So I was kind of stuck with what I had here. I wasn't happy about it, but you know, you just got to make do with what you have sometimes. And at this point, I'm just going to probably go ahead and order one from LMC Truck or Brothers Trucks and just have a brand new one put in there. Alright, now I just wanted to go ahead and show you guys again what the top of this looked like. Look at that. Yeah, to the left there I did cut through there with the angle grinder, but if you look around, you know, to the left side, I didn't do that. And if you look to the right here, that's split on the wheel well. That's not going to hold anything in there. All that wood there, that's original wood to the bed. I mean, I don't know how old that is, but it's not new. So after I got the bolts out earlier, I realized that there's so much Bondo and so much rust that I was not going to be able to get that sill plate out of there easily anyways. And that's when I just started going in. I mean, at this point I've already assessed the truck bed top and bottom, and I know that I'm not going to be able to do it, and I wouldn't want anybody else to have to deal with this headache. Not to mention that I'm not going to be able to get this sill plate out unless I really hack into it, and that sill plate to me right now is worth more than the rest of this bed. So I gave it a shot and tried to get in there and take it out. So I gave the old college try and I got in there because I already have a bed. This one, so much Bondo and rust. I'm legitimately not worried about it at this point. I don't want anybody else to have to deal with the crap that I dealt with on it. So in my mind, I'm not even going to put it up on Facebook Marketplace or anything. I'm just going to go to town and try to salvage this rear cross member. And guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I probably should have realized that if I'm putting this much elbow grease into this, it's not going to turn out the way I wanted. I didn't damage this by any means, but there's a reason this guy welded this thing together like this, and I had to hack into it. The main reason being because it was just in such bad shape. I mean, this video doesn't do it justice at all. Like, not even close. I know a lot of you guys right there are probably cringing, like, why would he do that? Why would he rip this bed apart? The bedside is worth so much money. And
if you guys got to see this thing in person, you would not be thinking that. You'd be like, holy crap, what the heck happened to this thing? And why did you buy it? Really? But when I bought it, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew this thing ran and drove, and it was better than any of the pieces of junk without floors or motors that I had looked at previously. So, luckily the cab is not in as bad a shape as this. I mean, the cab's pretty good. I do have to get in there and patch like the radio where the kid had screwed with it, and the doors have some whiskey dents, but outside of that, it's nothing like this bed was. This is just a nightmare. As I start to turn this thing around, you guys can see there's quite a few holes in it, and it's not looking quite as nice as I thought it would. In fact, I'm pulling off some of the original wood to this truck, and under that wood was nothing but rot. That wood held moisture, and over time that moisture just sat on the metal and just deteriorated it. It was in such bad shape you could put your hand through certain parts of it. I know I don't have a close-up here, but you guys are just going to have to trust me on that one. Finally to the good stuff here. My pap decided to stop by and hang out with me. He was getting a little curious as to what I was doing here, so he's in a couple of the shots just hanging out. My pap's brother, my great uncle, was really into cars and trucks, and I think my pap was just excited to see somebody else was getting into it as well. In fact, I was using a couple of my uncle's old tools and a couple of parts that he had laying around from back in the day, and I know he's looking down thinking, hey, it's cool to see that some of that stuff's getting some use again. And I know my pap was excited about it too. I think my pap's going to be even more excited once he sees what I'm actually going to do with this thing and what the ultimate goal is. And I know I haven't really talked about that with you guys yet, but it's going to be pretty cool, and maybe one day here we'll have a video explaining in detail what my plan is. If you guys want to see that, drop a comment. Let me know what you want to hear or see, or what kind of video you want me to do about that. You know, I thought it was pretty easy putting this together here. I just used the forklift with our long forks on it, laid that bedwood down because I never had to take that apart, and I basically just took the sides and set one on, had a couple bolts in my hand, slid the bolts on. I keep it held in place until I was able to lift it up and tighten down. And honestly, guys, I'm doing this all by myself, so there's no excuse why, you know, you wouldn't be able to do this yourself. And Dave wasn't around, so realistically, I'm doing this all by myself. And really, Dave's not into the old trucks the way I am. He likes the newer ones. What can I say? This guy has really just become like a big pet project to me, honestly. And if I'm doing this by myself, there's no reason anybody can't do this. You know, I have no experience, and I'm not afraid to tell you that. Like, I'm not too proud. As I'm going, I'm learning, and that's the best part about this stuff. It's not like that new stuff. This is all nuts and bolts and, you know, little can-do attitude mixed with some elbow grease, and you guys can do this. Shoot, that's how I'm doing it. You know, funny thing is, I had to go to the hardware store and get a lot of bolts that weren't with the truck, like for the front, a couple for the sides, just a couple were missing. And the lady at the hardware store she's just like counting all the nuts and bolts, and she's losing her mind. And $60 in nuts and bolts later, she's like, "What the heck are you doing?" And I'm like, trying really hard not to laugh. And I'm like, "Yeah, you wouldn't believe me if I told you, but I'm restoring an old pickup truck." And she's like, "What, nuts and bolts?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's that wood bed. You know, it's how it's held together." I think I lost count at 1,010,000 of these nuts and bolts. But in all honesty, there's a lot of them, and it took a long time. So we're just going to gloss over this real quick and show you how I did a couple of them. We're not going to get into every single one. You guys will be here for the next 6 hours watching me tighten this bed down. At this point, I was just putting a little PV blaster into the hardware holes. That way, if there's any rust or corrosion there, we'd have some lubricant in there, and all the nuts and bolts will go in there nicely. I'm going to find out in a second. Yeah, again, the hardware is just going to screw right on, and there's really nothing difficult about this. It's just take it off one, put it right back on the other. And there's really nothing difficult about this except for the tailgate. You see, my dad actually stopped in, and he was like real curious what was going on, and he helped me put the tailgate on. And it took us a second, so we're just going to gloss over that as well. In the end, the most difficult part was putting that front panel on, because I decided to reuse the one from the truck, but it had that steel angle iron piece, as you can see here. And that thing really threw everything off. Now, there's nothing wrong with that front panel at all. It's just that angle iron part that made it difficult to slide on. And now the moment you guys have been waiting for. The truck bed is fully assembled and ready to be installed. So I already went ahead and brought it outside. I used some ratchet straps and lifted it up with my forklift. You guys can probably see that ratchet strap. You know, the one that has the crank facing the cab. Well, I realized my mistake, and I did move that eventually, so don't worry about that. Again, I'm doing this all by myself, just taking my time. I mean, that's the key here, because I don't want to run into it or anything like that. That's how you dent or damage the truck. Just nice and slow. And as they say, what's the goal? Safety, obviously, right? And what's goals stand for? Get out and look. I mean, I don't know. You guys never heard that? Leave a comment if you have. Let me know where you guys have heard that before. Anybody who drives a big rig, you know that's probably plastered on your rearview mirror. Now that I'm under the bed, nice. I've already checked it out. We're going to go ahead and lower it down, nice and slow. The best part about a forklift is we can move it side to side. So if I'm off just a little bit like I was there, just bring it over a little bit. And then back down. As you guys could see, I got out and looked again, right? Because what's the goal? Safety, obviously, right? So making sure it's lined up and I'm not going to damage anything. I had to go back just a hair, right? So the wheels are nice and lined up with the wheel well. Now we're just going to come on down. Nice and slow though, guys. Slow and steady wins the race. Just ask that tortoise. He'll tell you. My pap decided to make another appearance for this. Just hanging out, making sure that I'm not going to do nothing dumb. But also, I think he's really enjoying it as well. No matter how perfect I thought I did with the forklift here, I was off just a little bit where the holes weren't lining up. You guys could even see that. I might be like 1.5 inches out, but a little muscle pushed it right in there and lined it up perfectly, actually. And that's legitimately all I needed to do. Now, it's not wired up or anything like that. That'll come with time. When we took the bed off, we realized that the original wires were in really bad shape. So I had to go and order a couple from Brothers Trucks.
I borrowed some of Uncle Ed's bolts to help me finish this. I think he'd be happy I'm using it on it, right?
And as you guys can see, it bolt slides in nice, easily. We're just going to put the nut on, make sure you have a washer on both ends, because if you don't have it on the top, it'll pull right through that wood. If you need to, you guys can use your breaker bar. I didn't feel it necessary to use that. It's snugged up nice and tight with just a ratchet.
You got it. Cool.
And there she is. Absolutely beautiful. Looking a little crazy there with the two-tone, but that's not going to be like that for long.
It's one step closer to being done, and I'm getting really excited because Dave and I have a lot of properties we need to go check out, and I don't like to go out there and check them out without my old truck. So, one step closer. Thanks for following along with the video, guys. It's a pretty cool truck bed. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you did, hit that like button for me. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these videos in the future. And hit us up on Instagram and Facebook at The Brothers Workshop so you can hang out with us outside of YouTube. And until next time, keep building.